This winter I went out to Hawaii, to Maui, to videotape a devotional singer named Snatam Kaur, and then realizing that an old friend was at the next island, I went down to Lahaina to catch a ferry ride from one of the islands, Maui, to Molokai. And of course, Lahaina was kind of a touristy type place with a lot of colors associated with buying and consumerism. Nevertheless, there on the far distant water was Lanai, not what I thought Molokai. Molokai was actually a long way beyond. So I got the ferry one early morning and left Lahaina, which was an old colonial town, one of the first centers, and went out across the deep, full of whales and waves, and just perfect way to leave behind a very, very intense Kundalini chanting concert with Snatam. And it was a way to just vacate my mind and watch the waves and look for whales jumping out of the water, and there were, and spouts everywhere, and there were, although you can't see them in the video. All you can see in the video is the wonderful passage. Now that's Molokai, and we'll get to it finally, and the waves are pretty intense. Well, I was going to a little town on Molokai where Sandy and Sam lived, and I had no idea where they were. So I walked into the town and I set up camp in the public library, Wi-Fi, computer, worked for about an hour, and then just happenstance I looked up, and there sitting at the next table, she had come in, was Sam. And I saw her and I went, oh my God. So I went, psst, Sam. And she looked at me and she looked at me. She looked at me for 10 seconds before she recognized me. And she took me to their home, where I ran into my old buddy, Sandy McCone, who worked for my father way back. And they were getting ready to leave in 2 days. So by some stroke of luck, here's Sandy back in Concord days. Music was always big, and that is the next spot, meeting up with these two folk in a completely unanticipated, predestined way. Well, they were going to Jamaica, where Sandy started the Joe Higgs Music School, and we said goodbye to some of their friends, and I watched Sandy and Sam take care of themselves because they were doing something really intense, so they needed to care for themselves. And I just took some pictures, and I tell you, they were packing up a house into a box outside the house and leaving for 5 months. So while I was there, I was able to be kind of busy on my own because they were really busy. And lo and behold, Sandy pulled out his clarinet, and there's always music where Sandy is. Cauliflower, they call him. And I've never seen Cauliflower so relaxed. And he was leaving and relaxed. We had a very small time frame for my visit, and yet in the midst of all this mayhem, he decided to play his clarinet.
Where the girl is singing swing, all the ukulele's in play.
They were taking me to the airport, and on the way we stopped by a vet hall where his fellow veterans get together, and we walked in, and all of a sudden we entered another further mayhem. There were these 3 Wahinis who were visiting, and they were just sitting there with all of these vets, like totally all over them, chatting with them, flirting with them, having a great time. And Sandy said, this is too good an opportunity to avoid. So he ran out and got his clarinet, and all of a sudden we were in the midst of By some stroke of luck, the Wahinis were from Sacramento, California, and they were going to the airport too. They were flying to Kauai, and I just grabbed onto the 3 of them and got my ride to the airport so Sandy and Sam could go home and pack some more. And we just had a heck of a good time. One of them started doing the hula, Colleen. Unfortunately, I didn't videotape her. She was great. And we just sort of hung out. And when the time came, we took off to the airport. And I made my connection in Honolulu after a great stress about staying there with them, but did manage to see an old friend in Honolulu before I left that evening. That's Koa Kahiko in Kaunakakai. And before I knew it, spinning my head, I was back in Boston, back in the old backyard in Concord, Mass.